So my name is Maria Green-Lynch and I work in public health in Wakefield, and I'm joined by colleagues in a socially distanced way. Tamsin Wright from the Mid-Yorkshire Hospital Trust, and she's in the patient experience team, and Michelle Turner, who is a carer support worker for our carers service in Wakefield. Next slide, please. So it's the Trust's vision to ensure that patients' experience of care is excellent each and every time. And we recognise that in order to achieve this, it's crucial to involve a patient support networks in a patient's journey in hospital and on discharge. And obviously support networks will include unpaid carers who provide essential care for their loved ones, but equally they're likely to have struggles and support needs of their own. In Wakefield, we as a system recognise the vulnerabilities, inequalities and poor outcomes that carers face. And we know that they're likely to neglect their own health and well-being as a consequence of prioritising the health of the person that they're looking after. So we know that we need to work collaboratively to ensure that carers are identified and supported at the earliest opportunity and offered timely help to enable them to care for their family members or friends. Now, according to the census 2011, there are over 36,000 carers in Wakefield, but we also know that these figures are outdated and likely to be underestimated. But using these figures, we calculate that the value of what our carers do is worth well over £700 million to our health and social care system. And just to give some current context, using Carers UK research, Caring Behind Closed Doors, we estimate that there could be a further 23,000 new unpaid carers that are forced to take on care responsibilities as a consequence of the COVID pandemic. So we know that it's more important than ever now that we get things right so that carers have got a good access to preventative support services. In April 19, we established a working partnership and commenced a really exciting programme of work involving carers and other partners to improve outcomes for unpaid carers. Thank you. The partnership work that we've developed within our hospital settings, we feel, is crucial at identifying and supporting carers at a critical time on their caring journey, whether that's at the start, at a point of crisis, at end of life, or at the point where a carer has been bereaved. We also recognise that in supporting carers, the patient or person with care needs will experience better outcomes in maintaining a good quality of life, being able to access family activities and community services, and being cared for by a loved one within their own environment. So the work that we've taken has radically improved carer awareness and support available for unpaid caregivers across the Trust. It's been designed to enhance patient and carer experience, both in and beyond hospitals. And just some of the things that we've done include giving honorary contracts to our care support workers and a public-facing base within Peterfields Hospital for care support worker staff. The development of a Friends, Family and Carers Charter, the allocation of 10 carer-friendly spaces to be used with and by carers in hospitals, ensuring that we promote that offer right across the Trust so that carers is visible of what we're doing for our carers. We've appointed carer champions, we've offered training to managers and to staff across the Trust. And we also promote the Carers UK digital resources, which have been purchased by the local authority and shared with partners across the district. And we're really pleased that as a consequence of the work that we've done, support for carers in hospital settings has now been built into commissioned carer service the carer service contract moving forward. I'm going to pass over to my colleague Tamsin, who's going to share some of the work that we've done.
So these are just a few examples of the initiatives that Maria mentioned that we as a working group have implemented in co-production with registered carers with our local carers organisation. So the one on the left is the Family and Friends and Carers Charter, which we published on our Trust intranet and tried to promote that way, so when it recognises the value that carers play whilst their loved one is in hospital, but also what they can expect from us as a Trust and as staff within that ward environment. The quotes there are just a few examples of the feedback that we've received about our hospital-based carer support workers, of whom you'll hear from shortly. Next slide, please. The picture on the left shows the transformation of one of our MySpace rooms, which the name was chosen again through consultation with registered carers. There's 10 of these, and and as you can see, they've got very soft, welcoming, relaxing design, and they've got visual light tiles with the sky and clouds on that you can't see in this picture, but they're a very calm environment, and they're designed to provide a space away from the bedside to enable carers to rest or have confidential conversations, and to work from there if they need to, if their work requires them to do that. And below on the right hand side is our information boards. We've installed 118 of these across both the inpatient wards and our outpatient departments. They display, amongst some other information, but a large portion of it is around support information for carers, and really kind of emphasises and highlights our drive to make carers' needs visible, and to let people know where and how to access support.
I'm Michelle, and I'm one of the support workers at Carers Wakefield and District, based within the Mid Yorkshire Trust. The positive impact that we've had by being able to have face-to-face contact directly on the wards has been immense. We regularly attend ward rounds to be able not only to identify carers that need support, but also to educate the staff on the importance of the carers in the patient's well-being and ongoing care. We have now become an embedded part of the team around the patient's discharge, empowering the carers to express their concerns on how they will cope when the patient returns home. We help support them at a very emotional time to make quite often life-changing decisions on the ongoing care of their loved ones by attending discharge meetings with the carer, and then usually spending time with them afterwards in one of the carers' settings to discuss what has been discussed, and to actually help them understand the hospital pathway, which is usually quite daunting when it's new to people. We don't just stop supporting the carers when the patient leaves hospital. We've got an excellent community-based team working alongside colleagues from health, social care and the third sector as part of a multidisciplinary connecting care hub. Also, as part of our community team, we have 2 dedicated support workers that support carers whose loved ones require a care or nursing home setting. I'm just going to give you a quick example of the kind of support that we've actually provided. We received a referral during one of the daily ward meetings, which we attend regularly. A gentleman called Terry, who was the main carer for his wife, June. She got significant mobility problems and had been admitted to hospital following a fall. When I met Terry, it was quite clear to see that he had some profound health problems himself, including memory impairment. He was showing extreme levels of carer stress. I met Terry and June on a number of occasions and noticed that June was becoming more and more depressed. She'd been in hospital quite a while. There was quite a lot of tension between them when they were in the room together. So as June had capacity, we initially discussed together thoughts of any long-term planning. Initially, their thoughts were that they could cope fine. They didn't want any help. But after originally declining help, they both finally agreed for me to put in some referrals to the social care team for an assessment for a assessment of care package, Age UK for some help when they got home, and telecare service. I also suggested to Terry that I would support him when we actually attended the discharge meeting, because he seemed very reluctant to admit that they weren't caring, and that he was very, very anxious about when they returned home. It was a very emotional, tearful meeting for everyone, as June believed that she was far more capable of doing things that, unfortunately, she wasn't. It was very, very difficult for Terry to actually contradict her feelings and thoughts that, no, actually, you can't do that. And I'm now saying I can't do that. So I think by the end of the meeting, it was quite a relief for both of them when they had become very open and honest with each other, which I think had been difficult and hadn't happened, to realise, you know what, we do need to make some plans. So the outcome of the meeting was that June agreed to being transferred to a care home setting for further long-term care planning. Unfortunately, in this instance, there were no places available, and so she was transferred across to one of our other hospitals at Dewsbury. While she was in Dewsbury, Terry asked if I could continue giving him ongoing support by telephone, which I continued to do. Unfortunately, during this period, June's health declined and she was transferred back to Pinderfields, where sadly she passed away with her husband by her side. As a bereaved carer, Terry is still receiving support from our community team. That's it really, thank you.